I know what you're thinking. Why the hell do you own this movie? Well, part of it was just not having been able to sit through it all the way through as a child. So, there you go. And at the same time, there are some things to admire about it, but at the same time, yeah, I agree. I can see why people think it's crap. Or why it's lower than crap. Anyways, I'm not here for Batman and Robin. Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, basically talked that went to death in his review. And he was actually a lot less kind than Jason Skull and Roger Ebert. Who would have thunk it? They actually didn't really mind the film all that much. I mean, at the same time, it was the only Batman movie Jason Skull disliked. But along with that, I mean, they didn't think it was god-awful. They just didn't think it was impressive in any way. If that makes any sense at all. So I just came from watching Nostalgia Critic Doug Walker's review of... What was it again? It was... Oh, yes, The Dark Knight Rises. I knew what it was. How would I not know what it was? So, along with that, he expressed a disappointment with the film. Now, I like the film. I can understand his perspective. Doug Walker, for the record, in the Nostalgia Critic. Bad Critic God! And I can understand his points, like I said. Along with that, I still like the film. I mean, he didn't seem to hate it. He sounded like he hated it, but at the same time, he was just simply expressing his disappointment with the way it was. And at the same time, come on, everybody held this movie up to high expectations it could not possibly meet. Unlike this one, that nobody expected anything from, and ended up being a surprise hit. You know, we own this one on video, but I got it on DVD because I wanted the original uncut version on DVD. I ordered it online, and the person who I bought it from, actually, they sent me the right movie, the right DVD, but they sent me the wrong cover. Because this is for the edited, the unrated, edited version, not for the PG-13 original, what they were going to put out there instead version. So along with that, and, you know, this movie was my childhood. I mean, my brother, when we were younger, he was a lot more into Batman than I was. So, apparently, obviously, this movie appealed a lot more to him then than it does now, and it appeals to me a lot more now than it did then. I mean, I wish I'd appreciated this movie a lot more when it was out before. So I own that one on video, and my brother actually, Christmas of 1997, he got Batman and Robin on video, because we hadn't seen it before. And then these, we've had these on DVD for some time, too. I mean, I don't hold this one. I mean, yes, at the same time, it's Tim Burton's style. Michael Keaton's Batman again. But surprisingly enough, compared to its predecessor, it's a letdown. It is. I mean, I like it. It's really good. But at the same time, does it apply the same standard of enjoyment as the other one? No, it does not. I mean, you think the Batman movie that immediately followed the very first one in 1989 would do better. Unfortunately not. And Batman Forever. To think that the person who made this movie would go on to make this one. And this one, well, it received only mixed response. Was not a huge disappointment. This one was. Although this one didn't receive just mixed response. It received a hugely negative response from just about anybody who saw it. Not to mention, this one was highly, and I expressed the word highly because I was 6 years old in 97. I saw it for myself. Well, I was about 5 maybe when before when the movie first was released. Anyways, actually, yeah, that's right. I was 5, approximately. That was around the time I started losing teeth. First time I saw this movie. I mean, well, not the first time I saw this movie. It wasn't until after, like, Christmas, 97. My brother got it on video. I could tell that Eggo, breakfast cereals, just about everybody was advertising this film. Everybody was holding this film to a very, very high standard. And then, pow, everything was shot to hell in a handbasket. Shot down to hell in a handbasket. This one did not disappoint as much. And to think the fact was that was the only time I thought Chris O'Donnell had ever played Robin. And this was actually his first time. And it was more impressive. Granted, at the same time, it didn't... Batman didn't hugely appeal to me. I wasn't a superhero person. My brother was. I got more attuned with it as I got older. So along with that, I actually hold Batman 1989 to a higher standard than all the other movies in the series. Except for maybe this one. This one, I think, surpasses it. Because it's such great detail, great story, brilliant visual effects. It's like a traditional Batman movie, but at the same time, it has something new. It has something brilliant that brings it to a whole new level. And then people love this one. I'm not as crazy about this one as everybody else is. I'm sorry, but I just have to admit, it doesn't abide to the same standard that all the other ones did. So let's see, Doug Walker with his opinion of... And you know, many people say continuously, Heath Ledger, God rest his soul, that his performance of the Joker is the best of any other. I don't consider it better than Jack Nicholson, but I don't consider it worse than Jack Nicholson. It's different from Jack Nicholson, and it goes down to what appeals more to me than to what is the standard set by everybody else. They're two different performances, exactly. One's played more for comedic thrill, at the same time lesser for sinister, and then it's the latter. And then for the latter, it's the opposite. It's played more for the sinister and lesser to a comedic tone. And Jack Nicholson's was the one I grew up with, so the movie was released 2 years before I was born. And I love it. I love the movie. I love his performance. Gene Siskel went on record to say that he thought Jack Nicholson should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards. He got the Golden Globe nomination. He didn't get the Academy Award nomination. Heath Ledger won both, as you all know. Yeah, I'm a person who's a stickler for details. So, you hear a lot of that with me. You hear a lot. I'm more of a detail person than I am of show. You wouldn't necessarily find me being able to create a brilliant performance based simply on what you see, as opposed to what I'm reiterating through my words. Now, to build off of that, for the record, I meant to mention this earlier, Dark Knight Rises comes out on DVD December 4. DVD and Blu-ray. December 4, in case you don't. So he expressed his opinion in the sense that he didn't think it... He said his basic problem with the film is actually what I probably believe the basic problem with the film was. I don't hate the movie. He didn't hate it either. I really like the movie, and yet at the same time I see flaws. as a stickler for details, I see not only the good in things, I see the flaws in them too. Then again, I'm a person who also kind of praised The Last Airbender. But at the same time, I kept all the details of the series in mind. That is why I was able to follow the film. That's why I did not have as much trouble with it as anyone else did. But I digress. My basic opinion of The Dark Knight Rises. And, you know, this is just basically what I think fans' major problem with it was. Besides the fact it was high expectation. It connects too much to Batman Begins and not enough to The Dark Knight. Doug addressed in his review, he addressed that specifically, said it was the reason why it was a big letdown. Such a big one. For me, it wasn't a huge letdown, and like I said, I did like it. I do agree with his points. We all wanted it to finish what Dark Knight started. Instead, it builds off of what Batman Begins started, and it didn't really need to. Chris Nolan, he seemed to be playing it too safe. If you ask me. I know part of it was he didn't want to be disrespectful to Heath. And as a result of that, he made the Joker almost non-existent. We can't pretend the Joker didn't exist. It doesn't work like that. You didn't pretend Two-Face didn't exist. Doug Barker went on record also to say that he thought pretending Two-Face didn't exist. He did exist, though. They mentioned that. They acknowledged it. They acknowledged it even more than the Joker. The fact is, Two-Face existed because of the Joker. How do you not express that? And we can't pretend that he didn't, like I said, Joker. We can't pretend he didn't exist because he did exist. And I think almost everything they did in the movie was interesting. But while trying to avoid most of the continuity of The Dark Knight and continuing more towards the continuity of Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises struggled. Like I said, expectations were very high, especially after the Avengers. So it was never, or just not, I wouldn't say never, it was just not going to be as perfect as everyone hoped it would be. And a part of the issues with the film is also the fact that there was the shooting in Aurora, Colorado, that turned away a lot of people from seeing it. I'm not sure how many diehard Batman fans were turned away from it, but at the same time, I mean, it was kind of a disturbing thing that made you question your safety. In fact, I was a little on edge too that night when I went to go see it because of it. So it seemed like he wanted to preserve, basic thing, Chris Nolan wanted to preserve The Dark Knight by not going back to it. Not going back to the story, not going back to the details, not going back to the Joker. And in doing so, he alienated Dark Knight Rises from the rest of the series. As a film itself, it stands alone as a pretty entertaining film, but this is not the conclusion we were all hoping for. I agree with Doug. This was not what we hoped for. Oh, by the way, Doug. So, we all know the problems. We all know what Chris Nolan could have done to solve them. And Doug Walker also mentioned how he thought Batman Begins, what they felt they did wrong with that one, they fixed with The Dark Knight. So, why would they not be able to build off of the success of The Dark Knight to make a better movie with Dark Knight Rises? Another thing, they planned on bringing back Heath when he was still alive. And then when he died, they didn't know where exactly to go after that. So why ultimately it took 4 years for the movie to come out. And it probably affected the way they structured the plot of the movie as well. So there you go. I think I basically said everything I need to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I will see you all next time with a new blog. And I'll do something different. Not too different, though. I mean, I think I've got something that works for me. See y'all later. I am the Critic Master.